Welcome to the Just Imagine world of the Chipmunks. Be sure to have your crayons and drawing pad ready, because while you listen to the story, you'll be drawing all the funny things that have happened to Alvin, Theodore, and Simon as they became stars. All right, are you ready? It all began one rainy night in front of an old two-story house where a songwriter named David Seville lived. The house was not well cared for by the landlord. The brown paint was peeling off the walls, and many of the windows had cracks in them. If you use your imagination, you should be able to picture that old house and the rainy night outside. Now it's time to draw a picture of what you're imagining. Are your crayons and drawing pad ready? Listen to the music and start your drawing. Have you finished your drawing of Dave's house on that rainy night? If not, and you need more time, press the stop button on your tape player at the sound of the chime. Then take all the time you need to finish your drawing. When you've finished, start the tape again and we'll continue our story. Inside the cold, leaky house in a ground floor apartment, David Seville sat at his piano trying to write a hit song. He needed to write one desperately and sell it to the Megabucks record company so that he could pay his rent. Suddenly he heard a knock at the door. Opening it, Dave found a large brown basket on the step. A pretty yellow blanket covered the basket. Peeking up from one end of the blanket were 3 tiny chipmunk heads. On top of each chipmunk head was a little hat. One hat was red, with the name Alvin on it. Another was green, with the name Theodore on it. And the third was blue, with the name Simon on it. The 3 chipmunks looked very much alike, with round, smiling faces and a tiny white tooth sticking out. Only Simon looked a little different. He wore big, round glasses. Can you picture the 3 chipmunk faces looking up from the big brown basket? Can you see their red, green, and blue hats and the soft yellow blanket covering them? Now it's time to draw what you have been picturing. Pick up your crayons and start to draw while the music is playing. Have you finished your drawing of the 3 chipmunk faces in the basket? If you'd like a little more time, Just press the stop button on your tape player at the sound of the chime, and take all the time you need. When you've finished your drawing, start the tape again, and we'll go on with our chipmunk story. Dave lifted the blanket and found a note from the chipmunk's mother explaining that because of the cold winter, she couldn't find any nuts to feed to her babies. She didn't want them to starve, and she asked whoever found them,
"Please, care for them as if they were your own."
Dave decided that he'd better go out and buy some food for the baby chipmunks.
Poor little things.
Well, being called poor little things made the chipmunks angry.
He's gotta be kidding.
And as soon as Dave was gone, the chipmunks hopped out of their basket to explore their new home. Alvin was wearing a cute little red shirt to match his red hat. Theodore's green shirt matched his little green hat, and Simon's little blue shirt matched his little blue hat. All three chipmunks wore sparkling white diapers and booties. Can you imagine how adorable these little chipmunks looked as they explored their new home? Now try to draw what you've been imagining the chipmunks looked like. Start your drawing when you hear the music. How do Alvin, Theodore, and Simon look? Have you finished your drawing of them in their cute little outfits? You don't have to rush. If you need more time, simply press the stop button on the tape player when you hear the chime. Then take all the time you need to finish your drawing. When you are ready, start the tape again. Dave's kitchen seemed like a good place for the three hungry chipmunks to start exploring their new home. They opened Dave's refrigerator and took out all kinds of delicious things to eat. The sandwiches they made were the biggest, most delicious sandwiches you've ever seen. Between two slices of bread, they piled some thick red meat, bright yellow cheese, crisp green lettuce, bright red tomatoes, and dark green pickles. Can you just imagine what those sandwiches looked like? Did you ever make yourself one like that? Listen to the music and draw the chipmunks' sandwiches. Is your drawing of the sandwiches finished, or are you only partway through it? If you need more time to finish those giant sandwiches, press the stop button on your tape player when you hear the chime. Then finish your drawing. When you decide that your sandwiches look good enough to eat, start the tape again. The Chipmunks were asleep in their basket when Dave returned from the store. When he went into the kitchen to put away the groceries, he was shocked at the mess the Chipmunks had made.
Tomorrow those guys will learn that neatness counts. But if I don't finish that song, none of us will have a home to keep neat.
The next morning, Mr. Roach, Dave's landlord, came barging into the apartment, threatening to throw Dave and the Chipmunks out. He wanted his rent. He didn't like Dave's loud music, and he certainly didn't want pet chipmunks in his apartment. He decided to take care of the chipmunk situation himself. So he hid outside and waited until the chipmunks were alone. Then he scooped them up one by one in a large net.
Now I'm taking you roast where you belong, to the pound.
At the pound, the chipmunks were locked in a cage with a homeless dog and cat. The dog was a big brown and white one with tall pointy ears and a long curling tail. His fur was long and curly and very shiny. Next to him lay a small black kitten with short, floppy pink ears and the greenest eyes the chipmunks had ever seen. Can you imagine what that dog and cat looked like? Can you see them behind the bars of the cage? Here's some music to listen to as you draw that big brown and white dog and that tiny black cat. Is your drawing of the dog and cat finished? If it isn't, just press the stop button on your tape player when you hear the chime and take all the time you need. When you're ready, turn the tape over and we'll go on to the second half of the Chipmunks story. Welcome back to the second half of the Chipmunks story. We left Alvin, Theodore, and Simon locked in a cage at the pound with a homeless dog and cat. Simon immediately set to work picking the lock, and a little while later, it was open. One dog, one cat, and 3 chipmunks came tearing out of the cage and through the door of the pound before the guard could get out of his chair. When the chipmunks returned home, they found Dave still at the piano trying to come up with a hit song. After they told him what Mr. Roach had done to them, Dave decided that they would move as soon as he finished the song and made some money. At that moment, Alvin picked up a magazine from the table. It had a picture of a wild-looking witch doctor on the cover. The witch doctor's face was painted white, with red triangles on his cheeks and big green circles around his eyes. A huge yellow bone was tied in his dark curly hair. Around his neck, He wore a necklace of colorful beads and long white animal's teeth. Can you just imagine what a sight that witch doctor was, with his painted face, strange-looking hair, and colorful jewelry? Well, now you can draw him as the music plays. Well, how does your witch doctor look? Is he finished? If not, just press the stop button and go on drawing. When you're finished, start the tape again, and you'll find out more about that witch doctor. That picture of the witch doctor on the magazine cover gave Alvin an idea.
Dave, why not write a song about a witch doctor?
Dave didn't think that was such a good idea, but the Chipmunks huddled together, and after a few minutes of whispering, they began singing a funny song.
And then the witch doctor, he told me what to do. He said that, ooh-ee, ooh-ah-ah, ting-tang, walla-walla-bing-bang.
Dave loved it and had the Chipmunks sing it into his tape recorder. A few minutes later, Alvin, Theodore, Simon, and Dave piled into Dave's small car. It was an old blue car with lots of scratches and dents in it. It was pretty sad looking. While Dave and the Chipmunks drive to the Megabucks Record Company, listen to the music, and draw Dave's old blue dented car. Is the car finished yet? Or do you still have to put some more scratches and dents in it? If you need more time to finish your drawing, just press the stop button. Then, when you're ready to continue, start the player and we'll go on. At the Megabucks Record Company, Mr. Mogul, the owner, listened to Dave's tape. When it ended, he shouted,
I know a hit song when I hear it, Seville, and this is a bomb.
And he threw the tape out the door. Luckily, Alvin was at the door and caught it. Since Dave's plan didn't work, Alvin had to come up with one of his own. Just next door was a radio studio, and it was empty. The Chipmunks sneaked inside and put the tape on the player. A flick of a button, and the tape was on the air. Meanwhile, Mr. Mogul was still yelling at Dave.
You want to hear what a hit sounds like? Listen to this.
And he turned on his radio. Mr. Mogul's radio was a shiny silver one with lots of red buttons that lit up and lots of black knobs. Perhaps you have a radio like that one, or perhaps yours looks different. Radios have numbers in a little window to show different stations. They have knobs to make the voices louder and lower. Just imagine what Mr. Mogul's radio looked like. Then, while the music is playing, draw the radio. Is your radio ready to play a chipmunk song? If your drawing is not finished yet, take all the time you need. Just press the stop button when you hear the chime. When you're ready to go on with the story, start the tape again. When Mr. Mogul turned on his radio, the witch doctor's song came over the air. Mr. Mogul was amazed, especially when the phones began ringing, with people from all over the city calling to say how much they loved the new song. That did it. Mr. Mogul immediately offered Dave a contract and a nice big check. With lots of money now, Dave and the Chipmunks went home to start packing their things. Then Dave went out for a while. When he returned, he called the Chipmunks out front to see their brand new car. It was a long, shiny red car with a white top and a sparkling chrome strip that ran from the front to the back. The chrome on the wheels looked like bursts of shiny silver stars. Can you imagine how beautiful Dave's new red and white car looked? Take your crayons and begin to draw when you hear the music. Is your car finished? Did you put all the shiny chrome trim on it? If you need more time to make the car look beautiful, press the stop button. When you're satisfied that the car is just what the Chipmunks would love, start the tape and we'll continue the story. Dave and the Chipmunks loaded all their belongings into the new car and drove away. In a little while, they stopped in front of a beautiful new house. The sparkling yellow house was a dream come true.
It's perfect.
It had blue shutters at the windows and flower boxes with big red flowers below the windows. The front yard was covered with thick green grass, and a big apple tree stood right in the middle of it. Can you imagine this beautiful new house and yard? As the music plays, pick up your crayons and draw the Chipmunks' new home. Is the new house ready yet? Perhaps you need more time to make it just as beautiful as I'm sure you imagined it. If you need the time, just press the stop button and take all the time you need. When you're finished, start the tape again. Now that you've heard the story of how Dave Seville came to be a popular songwriter and how the Chipmunks came to be big recording stars, let's listen to a final goodbye from Alvin, Theodore, and Simon.
I told the witch doctor I was in love with you.